The leaks for chapter 324 are out, and they are pretty crazy, as we see Aiku and Isagi being absolute demons on the pitch. But not to mention, we also see another player awaken Predator Eyes, which is really wild, so not to waste any time, let's get right into it. Alright, so the chapter starts off with the ball from Kuso getting extremely close to Onazi, and with it Onazi is really closing in on Japan's goal. But as we know, there's one man standing in Onazi's way, and that's Aiku, and technically Gagamaru too, but you get my point. Anyway, as Aiku is standing right in front of Onazi, he activates his Meta Vision Eyes and starts getting ready to face him head on. Aiku even says that this is intense, and he knows that if he blocks it, then the match ends peacefully. He continues saying that Onazi's shooting range is massive, thinking that he can unleash a powerful shot even in mid-air, considering his incredible athletic ability. Aiku then tells himself to get ready, and together with his Meta Vision Eyes, he starts to calculate what the chances of Onazi slipping past him and scoring are. He tries to take everything into account, and finally thinks that there's a 1 out of 4 chance for Aiku to stop the shot from Onazi. But we all know that it's not going to end there, as we then see Isagi, who arrives from the side, shocking everyone. As he comes closer, he tells Onazi that he has already read him, calling him a luminous bastard. After that, Isagi completely locks in and goes into his Meta Vision Eyes, and his puzzle pieces start to go absolutely wild as he says that he will crush Onazi and that he can already see the route. After that, Aiku looks at him and smiles and says something which we don't yet know what it is, so we'll have to wait for that. However, Aiku then snaps back and goes back into his thinking mode as he starts over and starts to calculate everything once again. He now has Isagi, whom he is able to take into account, and with him there to help him, Aiku's odds have now changed, as he says that now the probability of them stopping the shot is 1 out of 1, basically meaning that they are guaranteed to stop it. Anyway, we then get to the actual play in all of this, as the ball finally falls down, as it feels like it had been in the air for about a minute, but it falls on Onazi's shoulder, and he somewhat tries his best to trap it, while still having both Aiku and Isagi knocking him about. Both Aiku and Isagi say something, but we have no clue what yet either. Anyway, the ball, which bounced on Onazi's shoulder, goes past both Aiku and Isagi, and without wasting a single second, he runs behind Isagi's back. As Isagi wasn't able to catch the ball, this means that Isagi and Aiku failed, and that Onazi now has an open and clear path right to the goal. Kuso then looks at this closely and says that this is the Onazi that they haven't seen yet. With that out of the way, Onazi actually manages to get off a shot towards the goal, but that's far from all, as when he shoots, we can clearly see that he also has awakened Predator Eyes, which I believe makes him the 5th player to awaken them, which I did not expect him to be the next, but sure. Now with this, you would assume that this is going to go right into the goal, right? Well, not exactly, as we see Aiku completely locking in, as he has the biggest smirk I have ever seen, as he is able to just in time move his leg to the ball, making it redirect, and also saying that he will also bloom. Onazi just looks completely in awe and shocked by all of this, as he didn't assume that Aiku would be there to stop him. After that, we get some more insight into what just happened, as Aiku thinks to himself that Isagi provoked the enemy's awakened zone and demanded that he would surpass it. He even admits that he doesn't exactly know what kind of awakening it is, but it's like a signal telling him to be ready for a play that he has never seen before. And that's just wild. With that, his new skill is revealed to be a skill where he can anticipate a new defense that kills awakenings. Do you guys even hear this? A defense that shuts down awakenings is insane. Now back to the actual match. Even though Aiku was able to redirect it, the ball is still in play, and it's still going to the goal. We see a small panel of Kuso looking at this and saying something, but we then quickly move over to Gagamaru, who throws himself with all that he can towards the ball. Now it's a bit unclear here if Gagamaru actually manages to save the ball or if it just hits the crossbar. However, one thing is clear, which is that the ball doesn't go in, but instead hits the bar and bounces away. But once again, it's far from over, as just then all of the Nigeria players rush with all that they can towards the goal to try and get to the second ball and then score. And when I say everyone, I mean everyone, as we even see Zobo Abona running towards it with all that they can. Hey, it's Natsu mid-editing here, and I just wanted to pause the video to ask you to subscribe if you haven't already, and while you're already down there, why not leave a like as well? They are able to break through Nico and Ryu with no problem, and we can see Raichi, Ryo, and Karasu all looking super worried as they are getting closer to the ball. But that's when the GOAT and the absolute beast Corona appears, and is there to save the day, as he like a split second before Bello is about to score, he kicks the ball away and high up onto their field. And with that said, Can we just appreciate the shark boy a bit as he saved the day? Even the crowd is ecstatic as they scream out of happiness. With that said, we see the ball still flying in the air before we head over to Ego, who looks a bit manic. But sure, he says it's a perfect victory. The 45 days of training leading up to this day, and the reconstruction of Isagi's shooting pattern, the execution of each player's game plan and tactics, plus Isagi's zero to top proposal. With that said, we also get super small panels with Shidu, Baru, Hiyori, Chigiri, Nanase, and Zantetsu all screaming out of happiness due to Blue Lock saving the goal. But Ego is still far from finished as he continues with his speech and says that this is a great first match on their road to winning the U20 World Cup, the ideal first battle for the team of egoists he's created. But it's still not over, as we see all of the players looking towards the flying ball, and it then lands in the hands of a super fired up and insane looking Isagi, who honestly looks wild. We then see a small panel of Ego looking super shocked by the ball going to Isagi. He's probably thinking that it can become even better than he had imagined. Not to mention that we also see that there is one more minute on the timer, and Isagi then starts looking more fired up, which I didn't even know was possible. But he then gets his metavision eyes back in full action as he says, "Not yet." He calls out to all of Blue Lock and asks them if they are really satisfied with him. The ending text says, "There's still one left, this Demon King's hunt isn't over yet." And also there will be no break next week, which is just lovely and gets me super excited. Also the next chapter will be called something like, "The Student Has Become the Master," which always when I hear that it sounds a bit corny, but I think that they can somewhat cook with it. I feel like it can be implying a bunch of different things though. Like, do they mean Noah, as he was Isagi's master in the Neo-Egoist League, and will be somewhat involved, and will Isagi do one of his famous moves or something like that? Or are they talking about Ego, as he is the closest one they have who would be considered as their master? But then like, how does that make any sense? Let me know what you feel that title could mean, as I'm super intrigued by it. Now let's talk a bit about what just happened. It didn't play out exactly like what I predicted in my leak video last week. However, I got it right that Aiku would stop him, and that the ball would fall over to Isagi. It was just a few things in between that I didn't think about, like, for example, I would have never guessed that Isagi would also be there and defending. Now I know that Blue Lock loves to have their strikers defend, but I don't know, I didn't feel like it would happen this time, but it did. Also, I speculated that Corona would play with Isagi and make their planet hotline together. Now while that is still a possibility, I do think that it's a bit unlikely as Corona was all the way with the goal when he saved the shot, and because of that, he would have to sprint like a madman to get to where Isagi is, as he is currently a bit ahead of Corona. This makes me unsure if it will be Corona who links up with Isagi, as it feels like it will probably be someone else. I wouldn't hate seeing how Rio would team up with him, and if he could somehow recreate a planet hotline together with Isagi. In that case, Corona isn't really necessary right now, and honestly, he should take a breather as he saved the goal together with Aiku and most likely Gagamaru, even though it was a little hard to see if he got his hands on the ball or not, but let's just give him the credit. You know, also there's more things that I want to cover in this video, as we saw that all of the Nigerian players actually run up to try and score. Now we didn't see Kuso, but we saw all of the others. This would mean that the Nigeria team's half is pretty empty right now, which would in turn mean that Blue Lock should have a super good chance to score. However, I can still see Kuso coming in and trying to stop them. As he wasn't too high up when he passed, I can also see Onazi running back, as we have seen how fast he is. And I think that for sure it will end with a Isagi versus Onazi moment, where Isagi then manages to get behind him and score the final goal. Also, I do feel like it smells like a goal in the next chapter, which would firstly be insanely sick, but it would also mean the end of this match, which to be fully honest, I wouldn't really hate that, as it feels like it has kind of lost me a bit and I would love to end it and dive into something else. Anyway, that's everything for the leaks. Please let me know what you thought about them and what your favorite part was. My favorite part has to be Corona saving the shot, as I mean it's Corona after all. Anyway, if you like Blue Lock and videos like this, then I would highly suggest you subscribe to this channel, and while you are at it, leave a comment and a like, as it helps out with the algorithm a ton. And if you are curious to see another video of mine, then please watch the video that will be popping up on the screen now. Anyway, thanks for watching, and have a great day. Bye.